Hey, this is Joel Oney at J Money in the heart of the Buckeye State, and I want to personally welcome you to today's episode of the Steel Kings podcast with my good friends Jared Ledford and Eric Olson, better known as the Steel Kings. Be sure to check out jmoneyllc.com for financing solutions for your buildings. And now let's get back to the Steel Kings podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jared Ledford with the Steel Kings podcast, back at you with another episode. We are coming to you live from Urbana, Ohio, and we've got a special guest today. Eric is on assignment. He is actually doing God's work in Belize this past week and doing some mission work this next week as well. So he is enjoying his summer vacation, and I am back at you with another episode. We are going to get into it here shortly, but as always, we're going to do some housekeeping at the beginning of the episode. We're going to give a call out to our ad sponsors today, which is VersaBend. You guys know these guys. If you are still doing 5 bends to make a bow, you're burning your time away. The VersaBend handles 2-inch, 2¼ inch, 2.5-inch square tubing, and the 2x3 rectangular tubing, all in just 3 bends. Faster, cleaner, more efficient. Switching sizes. No tools needed, just seconds. It's designed for precision with built-in endpoints and angle settings to hit exact pitches every time. You can get yours for $19,500. If you're out of state, there is no tax. Shipping runs around $600 depending on your location. Check out the guys over at VersaBend, and those guys are going to help you out at csccarport.supply. Call 864-446-3645. Tell Wendell that the Steel Kings sent you. I am having a particularly good day. It is Monday, July the 21st. You are going to be getting this podcast probably about 2 weeks after I record it. So I hope you guys have a really good week this week. I have got a special guest. I met this guy, I guess it's been about 2 years ago now. We met at one of his trade shows, and we just bonded a little bit. And love the publications, love the content. Gary Reichert from Shield Wall Media is going to be joining us in the studio here, and just wanted to give a proper thank you up front to Gary for coming on the podcast. We're going to go ahead and get him in the studio. Gary, can you see
Jared,
us?
how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm good. How are you? It's good
Doing
to have
good.
you here in the studio, man.
Thank you.
On a Monday.
If there's any barking, it's not me. My assistant is wandering around here someplace and decided that he wants attention. So
I understand.
Might have
We'll
a
take
little
all
bit
the guests.
of unsolicited commentary.
That's okay. We'll take all the guests we can get, man. I was just
Cool.
telling the listeners there how we met a couple years ago at the Garage Shed Carport Expo.
Yep.
We had a beautiful time in Knoxville and got to know each other a little bit, chatted back and forth, and just mutual connections brought us back together recently.
Yeah.
And thought it'd be interesting to get you on the podcast and maybe share a few minutes with you here and just talk about what you got coming up. We of course have been hyping up the Roll Formers show. It's going to take place in Dayton, and just thought you might be able to walk us through a little bit about Shield Wall Media, a little bit about yourself, and how you are impacting the industry.
And thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, can you spare me just a second? And I'll get him in some place that he'll be a little quieter.
Oh yeah, Gary, take your time, brother. We are in no hurry. So I'll keep you guys abreast to it. Gary runs Shield Wall Media, which is a media conglomerate that does a lot of the trade publications that you guys are well aware of. The Construction Roll Forming Show, the Post Frame Builder Show, the Rural Builder Show, several different magazines, including the Plane Builder, just a plethora of different things that Shield Wall is bringing to the industry, and really, really taking us places that I don't think 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we just didn't see the kind of traction that we're seeing now in the steel building, shed, pole barn, you name it. Gary touches all these different industries, and he's such a impactful player in what we do. So it was imperative that I get him on, to talk to us and just tell us a little bit more about what he does. So Gary, I was just giving him the overview of Shield Wall and all that.
Well, thank you.
Kind of pick up where I left off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but no, acquired this about 6 years ago. Went from 3 magazines to right now like 6. Getting into some consumer stuff with Build My Barn Dough, which is a digital only publication at buildmybarndough.com. getting fingers into everything you can think of, from data generation to actually just launching a line of children's books, which is kind of cool. And
Yeah.
then trade shows, magazines, all kinds of things. The
Yeah.
one that you mentioned, actually, the next one in Dayton, the construction roll forming show, is especially a good one for manufacturers, because most of the manufacturers that you see at a trade show, the people that pay for a booth, can't sell to 90% of the people walking the floor. The people walking the floor are typically contractors or builders or people looking to buy, for example, a 20-pound box of screws or a couple of them. They're not equipped to buy in pallet loads, container loads, truckloads. And the whole reason that the roll forming show started was, if you can put $500,000 into a line of roll forming equipment, you can probably buy in a pallet load, container load, or truckload. So,
Yeah.
not that we don't love the people that drive nails, we just don't particularly want them at that show. And if you're a manufacturer and you actually want to show to do business at, we somewhat discourage the actual people that drive the nails, and our elevator pitches, we go for the people that sign in front of the check, not the back of the check.
Yep. And
So
I can attest to that. I think that the show, I think that your shows are specifically set up for that type of audience, where business is going to be done face to face, a lot of handshakes, a lot of opportunities for these manufacturers and conglomerates to really make the connections that they're not always going to be able to make. That's kind of where you're
yep.
getting at, right, Gary?
Yeah, well, I mean, and for both sides, if you're looking
Yeah.
at buying a roll former, say you're going to start a roll forming shop,
Yep.
and you are walking around a show that includes everybody and their brother, the chances that you're going to get the 10 or 15 minutes undivided attention from the engineer or the salesperson at whatever the company is pretty slim, because they
Yeah.
have to be able to bop around and talk to everybody. But I've actually had people at my show. One of the best compliments that I had was, there was a gentleman from a company that makes roll formers that said, I had somebody show up with a schematic for a panel and a deposit check. And he goes, I've never had that happen at another show. So it's something where it's a show to do business at. It's not a show to just go and socialize. And I mean, that's part of it too. But the
Sure.
people that are coming in, it's about a qualified audience.
Yeah. And that's the problem with a lot of these trade shows, is they really just become kind of a, meet up with everybody, have some drinks, and no real business gets done. And while that's, there's room for that, I guess, in the industry, certainly, these are more qualified conversations, like you said. These are going to be getting business done. I mean, I know that Wendell and the team over at VersaBend are excited to see us. This will actually be the first time we've met in person, and I feel like some of the connections that we've made have probably been directly through you, Gary. Some
Well,
of the
thanks.
connections that we've made, yeah, I mean, some of the connections on the metal, the post frame, the wood side, I mean, a lot of that came directly from going to your trade shows. And I can speak from a very qualified position in saying that work gets done there. And I can value that as somebody who doesn't like to travel. Now, with the roll forming show, it takes place October 1st and 2nd in Dayton. So it's
Yep.
right in our backyard. We're like about a half an hour from there right now where I sit. I couldn't be more stoked about that, because obviously I can spend the night at the house and be right back the next day and have a great time. That just makes it easier on me. But I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to it, man. And I think that it's
Yeah.
a great opportunity for those of you out there listening who are in the manufacturing space, large scale, want to get some business done. This is not just going to be a drink and socialize hour. This is going to be try to get some business done. So I can value that, man.
Well,
Really.
and if anybody has any questions, I mean, naturally, feel free to reach out to me, because we do a
Yep.
number of things with our shows too that are unique. One of the big
Yep.
ones is that after the show, any exhibitors get the full attendee list at no charge, and nobody else does that. So
Yeah.
that
It's a
does
really
two
nice
things.
touch.
It
Yep.
makes you able to follow up. The other thing that it does is it lets you know that we're not giving you a line of BS about our numbers.
Yep.
Because anytime you go to a show, I'm not going to name specific names, but I've been involved with shows that have inflated their numbers by 2 to 3 fold. And nice thing is if you get all the names of everybody that walked through the door, we can't do that because
Yeah.
you know who they are.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue when you got black and white fact. And I will
Yep.
say, that's the whole value proposition in going to a trade show is how many people you may be able to interact with, how many different businesses, how many different, bites at
Yep.
the apple, if you will, you're going to have. So, when you see these trade shows, you have to know that there's transparency involved with Shield Wall. I think that's probably why. I mean, and I know you've heard me say this. I know others have heard me say it too. I really prefer to go to your shows over the others out there. And, like you said, not going to name anything specific. I've had a good time at lots of trade shows, but I can tell you unequivocally, without question, I have done the most business at Shield Wall shows over the last 3 years. As a matter of fact, I mean, I can tell you the relationship that the Steel Kings have with Shed Geek, the whole reason this podcast exists, a lot of it has to do with being at the right place at the right time at a Shield Wall show with professionals and having the time and the wherewithal to get the business done. And we wouldn't be honestly, we wouldn't be on this call. The Steel Kings podcast would probably not exist with 99% certainty if we had not attended that show in Knoxville. So for that, I am immensely thankful. And I've said that, but I mean it. I mean, I can tell you, if you doubt going somewhere because, well, I've gone to trade shows before and it's not for me. It's just not, I don't intermingle well. These are all people who want to come and work. These are all people that have a product or service that they want to discuss with you, and they are focused on the roll forming. This specific show is roll forming industry based. So you're talking roll forming machines, anything that you would use in a steel setting, whether you're making sheeting, siding, whatever it is, roofing, whatever,
Yep.
whatever industry you're in, this is going to be a one size fits all kind of a show for you. So,
Yeah. I mean, and anything that you're looking at component wise too, because there'll be
yeah.
door manufacturers, fastener manufacturers, underlayment, the machines naturally coil, and all kinds of things. So it's a pretty good resource.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Hello, shed builders. I'd like to grab your attention for just a moment. As we look ahead to 2025, one thing is clear. Customers will have higher expectations than ever before. Shed consumers have an unprecedented access to information. To stay competitive, you need to create sheds that are not only high in quality, but also rich in innovation. You might recall my friend Dan Ream, one of my early podcast guests, who introduced Solar Blaster fans, specifically the Solar Roof Blaster. Dan has been busy handling orders, and he's eager to speak directly to shed builders about his groundbreaking products. What stands out to me about Dan's products, designed specifically for sheds, like the Solar Roof Blaster and the Solar Light Blaster, is how they enhance the shed owner's experience. With the focus on quality, it's time to start thinking about adding features and benefits for the end user. Here at Shed Geek, we wholeheartedly recommend Solar Blaster as the solution. My favorite thing about the entire line of products? The support you'll receive from Dan. Not only is he incredibly knowledgeable about these products, but he's also one of the most customer-focused individuals I know. He truly stands behind both his product and his service. We're searching for companies ready to elevate customer satisfaction to the next level. To learn more, just visit solarblasterfans.com and fill out some basic information for a callback, or connect directly at 480-747-7097. You can also check out the Shed Geek newsletter, where a click on the Solar Blaster ad will guide you to a form for more information and some cool videos showcasing the products. Let's power up innovation and elevate customer experiences together.
You guys do, is it 3 shows a year now you guys are
Yeah,
doing?
we do 3 right now, and actually we're investigating some things. So there's some stuff with that I don't really want to
Oh yeah, no
go
worries.
go into a whole lot after the beyond the roll
Yeah,
forming show. But I mean
yeah,
that's our
we'll get
oldest
you.
one, and that's
Yeah,
the one with the clearest focus and the biggest difference between what we do and what anybody else does.
Well, I know we personally are looking forward to being there. We're looking forward to being a part of that. Like I said, Dayton, Ohio, October 1st and 2nd, the Dayton Convention Center is where you will find the construction roll forming show and Shield Wall Media. Gary will be
Yep.
there. I'll be there along with other suppliers, manufacturers, lots of people to make contact with. So we're looking forward to that. I know that you just got done with the Post Frame Builder show in Manheim. I
Yep.
know you are super connected on the post frame side of things. For those of you who don't know, I want to let Gary, I want to give him some time. The magazines are really cool. I actually just
Thank you.
got my most recent source book, number 17 right here. And this is from Rural Builder. These are free of charge, right, Gary? You don't charge
Yep.
anything for these.
Yeah, we're trade publications. So
There
basically,
you go.
as long as you're in the construction trades, the advertisers want to reach you if you're considered a qualified audience enough
Yep.
that essentially the people that support us buy your subscriptions.
Yep.
So all you need to do is you can either go online to www.shieldwallmedia.com and fill out a request for a subscription, or if you get a hold of one of the magazines, there's a subscription form in all of them. Or barring that, we've got forms at the shows, so stop by our show and fill one out there.
Yep. I
Uh,
can tell you
and
these are really good sources too. There's a ton of good content in these magazines. And again, they'll ship them to you. They'll go ahead and send them right to
yeah,
you.
yeah,
So I mean, I think that that's something that for those of you who are not getting them, you should be. We want to make sure that you get contacts for that. We'll upload all of that on our social media just to make sure that you guys have a good source through Shield Wall to get copies of the magazines, because we love getting them here. I know the guys, we do a little bit of everything, right? We do post frame. You've heard us talk about steel buildings and sheds. We do a little bit of everything. So I like the source books. I like the ones that are a little bit more analytical. There's one where you guys send a lot of stats out, and I keep that copy at my
yeah.
other desk.
We do. That's one of the other things that we're getting into. We're getting into data generation
Yeah.
because, excuse me, the if you look at traditional sources for industry data for the niches of construction that we serve, there's nothing there. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing useful as far as post frame. There's nothing for cold form steel. There's generic overall stuff for business, but unless you're looking at single family residential with a broad brush or
Mhm.
some other big, you can't get anything. And we put out CSI Construction Survey Insights
There you
annual
go.
that comes out first quarter every year. And what we do is we have a proprietary survey that we send out. We've been sending it out for years so we can track trends over time. And in addition to the survey results, we also interview people in the industry, talk to some economists, and other things along those lines. The book will actually have an individual section dedicated to all the markets that we serve specifically. So there'll be a section on metal roofing because we have Metal Roofing Magazine. There'll be a section on um, low-rise residential ag and commercial construction for Rural Builder. There'll be a section specifically on post frame. There'll be a section specifically on metal forming and roll forming for construction because of Roll Forming Magazine. And each one of those will have a section. Altogether, the magazine is, I think this year I think it was 112 pages.
Yeah.
So it's something that's pretty substantial. And that is free of charge to anybody that subscribes to any of our magazines, or you can also find it online. All of our publications have their own websites. And if you go to ruralbuildermagazine.com, it's in the past issues and you can actually click on it to see what it looks like.
There's a lot of really useful information in that book. And what I like about it is that information is coming directly from those like us. You reach out, I
Yep.
think, is it quarterly that you reach out, or it might be monthly now, but I think it is quarterly that you guys reach out to all the subscribing base with surveys and questions. And you want to know the trend lines. You want to know what's going
Yep.
on in the industry. You want to know, is business up or down? What are you seeing right now? What are some of the new things? And I've gotten a lot of tips and tricks directly from those magazines, I can tell you, in ways that I wouldn't have expected, to be completely honest.
Well,
So,
and something that we do too is we can actually do proprietary surveys if people have a specific question about a specific thing.
Okay.
One of the ones that we typically do is we do a metal roofing color survey, and we'll run an article every year that says which colors are popular. And the thing that we do that's different is we break it down by region, because there's a lot of, if you talk to the metal manufacturers, the people that sell coil, they can tell you nationally what's popular. But there's things, for example, there's a region of the United States where last year the most popular color for roof was blue.
Hmm.
Most of the other sections of the United States, blue is dead freaking last.
Yeah.
And then there's other stuff like Galvalume too. Galvalume or a natural coating. There's
Yeah.
some regions where that's going to be top of the list, and then other places where people look at that and go, "What the heck are you thinking?"
Yeah.
So there's things like that. And then two, if there's anybody that has specific market information they're looking for, like we did one a while ago related to frame building news. We did a survey on the size footer plates people use. And the only restriction that we have is whenever we do a survey like that, if somebody else comes up with an idea, is that we're free to use the article, whatever data we generate in an article.
Yep.
So if anybody's got a great idea for a question to ask, shoot it over to me and we'll get you a survey and I'll share the information with you, and we'll probably run it in one of the magazines. Because we're
Yeah.
always looking for things like that, because one of the most limiting factors in trying to develop a business is getting good data. And especially whenever you're in a niche, because the stuff that applies to us doesn't necessarily apply to everybody else. And
Yeah, I find myself in that trick bag a lot. You know, we've talked about it a couple of times. You know, steel buildings and wood sheds, it's a tough market. It's a tough market to crack. It's a tough market to deal with. Personalities on both sides of those industries, both good and bad. I can't speak of anybody in particular that I wouldn't want to do business with, but there's several that come to my mind that think, okay, I'm going to avoid them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Steel buildings specifically, we all know the challenges involved there. What do you see on your end? I know there's been some rebranding, there's been some changes. Post frame is really your niche, and roll forming, and what specifically, what is the one key target audience that Shield Wall is looking at going into the end of this year and into next year?
Well, see, we've got several target audiences.
Okay.
And one of the things, and see, that's basically the reason that we can expand into new magazines. Because
Yeah.
if you ever watch Shark Tank,
Yep.
Kevin O'Leary is on there and he calls people a cockroach. And
Yeah.
basically what he means is that if somebody finds a niche that isn't necessarily a huge niche, but once they get in and they get dug in, nobody's going to touch them. And that's kind of what we shoot for. And
Sure.
typically what we look for to expand it into, like when we expanded into Roll Forming magazine, there was no real publication that covered roll forming for construction. There was Fabricator, but Fabricator is looking at something that's going to be running a couple of million feet a year. It's not talking panels. We're talking big manufacturer like automotive industry and that kind of thing. There was nobody really specifically for the stuff that we do. And that's done really well. It's something where it's not the biggest magazine in the world. It's only give or take 16,000 subscribers, but it's a very targeted niche that for the people in our corner of the world, nobody else is going to get in. Barrier of entry is too high.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we shoot for. So we've got a bunch of different target niches. The one that we're actually looking at trying to go after going forward really is the cold form steel, light gauge steel building kind of thing. And big part of that is there's a lot of overlap with what we already do between roll builder and roll forming. There's a lot of overlap. As far as components and things, there's a lot of overlap with frame building news because it's the same end use essentially as opposed to
Sure.
frame building, just a different option. So if it's going to need ridge vents, if it's going to need cupolas, if it's going to need doors and windows, it's going to need the same kind of doors doors, windows, and various stuff. So there's enough overlap that we can, yeah,
Piggyback.
yep,
Yeah.
Are you swimming in leads but struggling to close the deal? It's time to turn those leads into profits with Making Sales Simple, the ultimate sales training program designed specifically for shed sales professionals. At Making Sales Simple, we understand the challenges you face, overwhelmed by inquiries, unsure how to follow up, and missing opportunities that can boost your bottom line. Our proven techniques help you and your team master the art of connecting with customers, building trust, and closing deals like never before. Whether you're new to the industry or a seasoned pro, this training will sharpen your skills, increase your conversions, and drive your business to new heights. Don't let those leads go cold. Invest in your team's success today. Making sales simple, because every lead deserves a closer.
And that makes sense. That makes sense from our perspective too. That's the interesting thing about the Steel Kings. Even though we're the Steel Kings, we dabble in wood frame buildings, the post frame world. We dabble a little bit in wood sheds, and that's really why I gravitated to Shield Wall up front from a customer turned. I would say we're friends at this point, right? I mean, we've known each other
sure,
for a couple of years now, and I that's why I have respect for people in the industry like you who just tell you like it is right
yeah,
now in real time. I think that's a lot of where I lose some respect and some ability to work with others is when I know they tell me two truths and a
yeah.
lie, that kind of a thing. And they all seem like lies. Matter of fact, they are all lies. And I think that's
Huh.
where I lose a lot of respect and the ability to work with folks is that in our industry, which, Eric and I started selling metal buildings. Eric 6 years ago, me about 4 years ago now, metal buildings and wood sheds into post frame and all these other avenues that we're doing. But really what we figured out in no short order is that you're only as good as your word.
Oh, for
And
sure.
I think that that's something that I appreciate a lot about you and your team over at Shield Wall is it's not sugar coated. It's black and white. It's
Yep.
exactly the way it is every single time. And when I read about it in one of the magazines or in one of the publications, I can tell you, I take it as pretty much gospel truth every time because it's vetted and it's coming from people that I trust. And that was one thing that I wanted to make sure we called out was this is a brand and 16,000 folks that subscribe to the magazines and publications, probably a good majority, if not all the people who are listening are already subscribers. But if there are folks out there who are new to the industry, if you're listening to me for the first time, check out Shield Wall. I promise you, you're not gonna miss out anymore. If you're missing out, Shield Wall is where you need to check out. Tell us about how they can sign up to go to the construction roll forming show, Gary.
Best way or easiest way is the website is really hard to remember. It's constructionrollformingshow.com.
There you go.
And that'll put you to a sub page on Roll Forming Magazine's website that you can just enter your stuff and sign up. If you pre-register, it's $50. It's also $50 at the show. One other thing that we do that's a little bit different than most other people do is all the attendance gate that we get, we donate to charity. Last year, all the money that we got from the door was donated to different disaster relief, some for the Helene stuff, some for the Hawaii stuff. But last year we gave away a little over $30,000 to charity to help people rebuild. So it's something where, yeah, it's $50, but it's $50 that's going for a good cause. It's not going to the Buy Gary a Boat Fund. It's going to help people that actually need it.
Yeah. And you give us plenty of, I mean, there's a pretty good perk at the end of the show, right? You want to let them in on that little secret, Gary?
With the it depends on which one you're talking about. Are you talking about the social or what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So at
we
some of the
kind
shows we do socials after.
yeah, well the on the way our shows are all 2-day shows. One
Yep.
thing, having been in this industry, I've been in this industry for way too long, which is a different story. I went from being an ad sales guy to owning the company over the course of about 20 years. Um,
We
But
should have
yeah,
touched base on that because you've got an impressive story. That
it's
part of it impresses me too.
well, it just basically I was too dumb to leave, and Rural Builder's been around for going on 60 years. Frame Building News has been going on 55. Metal Roofing is going for about 30. And Roll Forming Magazine is an invention of mine, and it's relatively new. It's not quite 7 years old.
Okay.
And I started out just doing ad sales because I went through a divorce and I needed a job. And if I'd have stayed in the field that I was in, I'd have had to relocate away from my kid. Went into a brand new field, started selling advertising in a magazine, got lucky and kind of figured out what I was doing. And then through the course of different things, somehow I just ended up owning the freaking company. So now we
Well, I
kind of
can
do
tell
things
you,
the way that I
yeah,
want.
we do things the way Gary wants. That's what I was going to say. You've told me that
Yeah.
before. So
Well,
when
and
you own it,
actually,
you can make the decisions.
well, and that's one thing that is interesting because one of the challenges that a lot of other trade shows have is they're run by boards of professional associations. Anytime you've got a board, you've got however many people are on the board. That's how many different agendas that you have. And it's driven by the board members' agendas typically, not the agendas of the people that exhibit at and or attend the show. Nice thing is the only people that I have to answer to are the people that buy booth space and the people that walk the floor. And if I can keep them happy, everything goes well. And
You can keep them
that's the
happy.
objective.
They keep coming back. And
Yeah.
that's the idea here is they're return customers.
Yep.
They become subscribers to the magazine. Then they hit the other trade shows. They may expand there like us. We started out in steel buildings and wood sheds. We've expanded over to pole barns. A lot of that has to do with experience that we accumulated at a shield wall show, seeing what we
Sure.
could do as business owners to take the next step in our process as business owners. So I can tell you that's a really cool thing. That's a really cool thing that I can speak from experience and I can share that with anyone listening. It's a serious thing and I really appreciate that time. Tell us about the kids books. We were talking
Well,
about that on the phone and you brought it up at the beginning of the show. But
yep.
I wanted to hear about the kids books again and I wanted you to share that with everybody.
It's kind of exciting and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges that everybody recognizes and nobody knows what to do anything about is the lack of people going into the construction trades. And there's a lot of great organizations like the Micro Works Foundation that does scholarships for people that are going in the construction trades. And we've actually worked with them for probably 4 years. We do
Okay.
profiles on the people that win scholarships. We try to help them where we can. They're much bigger than we are. But I mean, as far as getting scholarships and doing good stuff, there's
Sure.
other organizations like Team Rubicon they do disaster relief, but they're also working on education for veterans to try to get them into the construction trades. And there's a lot of people trying to get that kind of curriculum back into schools. But nobody was doing anything for kids.
Yeah.
And if you listen to somebody that does developmental psych stuff, people get about 60% of everything they learn by the time they're 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
So having a positive emotional connection to the construction trades might help those people actually look at that as a viable career whenever they get older. So I got a bright idea. We had my mascot made into an avatar for swag for our shows. The one that I actually had to put out, the Malamute that was talking to me. So we had him made into a cartoon dog. And then I was looking at that one day and it was just like, that would make a decent children's book.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of them in the works. And whenever I went around and talked to people, I called up a couple of people that are on my short list of people that it's like, hey, Gary's got a good idea. Tell me exactly why this is stupid. And I was figuring that it would be something that would be a hard sell and everybody would be, what the heck are you thinking? And pretty much everybody that I talked to was like, holy cow, that's awesome. How do we get involved?
Yeah.
And with
when I first heard about it, that was my thoughts. I thought, man, this is a killer idea. I thought, man, why has nobody else thought of this? And I thought, well, Gary's the one with all the good ideas. And it would be Gary that would come up with something like this, because I've got 3 young daughters. And, just like you said, a kid's perceptions are made at that young age. A
Yep.
kid's, I want to be whatever I want to be when I grow up, and they stick with that. I would have never guessed in 100 years I would want to be a metal building salesman or pole barn salesman or whatever. But I can tell you, I found the industry that I have absolutely been looking for my entire adult life when I found the industry I'm in now. But I can't imagine what it would have been if I would have seen it or even been exposed to it at a young age. I might be a tradesman or someone that actually was able to manufacture these buildings rather than
Sure.
just sell them. And I think that that's something that is extremely valuable to the youth of America, especially when we know that the youth is not getting all of the right information all the time. This is something
Well,
that's going to be good for them.
the other part of it too is I'm old, okay? I'm to the point where most people my age are thinking about retiring or whatever. And the
Sure.
number of calls that I get from people that have construction companies or businesses that involve something involving manual labor, whether they're roofers, contractors, roll formers, whatever, that say, I don't know what to do because my kid doesn't want the business,
Yeah.
is off the charts.
Yeah.
And giving the, I mean, I literally have a couple of people that have called me basically up in tears because the family business, they don't know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And granted, if you need a bright idea, I'm probably not the first person that you ought to call. But if you have the first book that's coming out is Max Builds a Metal Roof. And that's actually being laid out by my designers right now. And with a little bit of luck, that'll be actually sent off to the printer within the next 2 weeks or so. So hopefully we'll
Awesome.
have copies of that by the roll forming show. But
Awesome.
if you've got a roofing business and your son or grandson or daughter or granddaughter remembers sitting on your knee with you saying, This is Max. He can build
Yeah.
anything. Today, Max
Yep.
is going to build a metal roof.
Yep.
And then your business has, it creates an ability for you to build value in your business and in what you do with the kid, grandson, niece, nephew, whatever, sitting on your knee that you're reading the book to.
Yeah. You're generating that buy-in on that legacy up front. And
Yep.
I think that that's a lot of what we miss out on these days with social media and all of the things getting in our way constantly. We are too worried about everything else when we should be worried about what's important and most important in front of us, which is family, neighbors, all of that kind of thing. And I
Yep.
think that the
Agreed.
youth, I struggle with my kids a lot because, I want to be able to provide them something of a legacy. I'm hoping it'll be with Dayton Barnes and my other business ventures. I don't know if it will or not. I've got one daughter who is extremely interested in what I do, and I have 2 that could not care less about what I do. They want to make sure that I keep that cell phone turned on. They want to make sure I keep those
Sure.
bills paid so they can have fun with their friends and go to the pool. But maybe one follows in my footsteps. And I know that there's a lot of listeners out there running family run businesses that would be very interested in something like that. So I was very intrigued and glad when you brought it up. I will tell you, man, it's been great having you on with me. And I mean, I think this is something that we should do a few times a year anyways, just to refresh the audience, let them know about Roll Forming Magazine, let them
Sure.
know about all the
Glad to.
different publications, because I can tell you, you're going to miss out if you do not check us out. We will be there at the Construction Roll Forming Show, October 1 and 2 in Dayton, Ohio at the Convention Center. Hit me up on social media. I'm Jared at the Steel Kings via email. I can get you all the information. Check out the guys over at Shield Wall Media. Gary and his team will be happy to set you up with whatever you need, whether it be just coming and checking the show out as a patron. So we're looking for those in the manufacturing trades, anybody that's working with metal or steel, come check us out. But I can tell you, Gary, it's been a real pleasure, man. Really,
Well, thanks.
honestly. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna clean up here at the end, guys. You know me. I always got to give a shout out to our sponsor, the team over at J Money. They will get you what you need as far as financing for your customers. Joel, he was that farm kid. He was from Northern Ohio. Had 25 years in banking, a passion for craftsmanship. J Money was created to solve a real problem. Most homeowners need improvements. They don't always have the cash up front. Whether you're selling steel buildings, wood sheds, windows, doors, roofing, pools, if you're a contractor, dealer, or manufacturer, J Money gives your customers an easy, affordable way to pay and helps you close more deals. Easy applications, fast approvals, multiple payment solutions. J Money is on a mission to grow your business with payment solutions because the need is there, and now so is the money. Head to jmoneyllc.com and start offering financing that works. My name is Jared. As always, this is the Steel Kings podcast. I'm going to go ahead and check out this week. But for Gary and the team over at Shield Wall, check them out as well. And we really appreciate you being here, Gary. And we will talk to you soon. Y'all get
Sounds
out
good,
there
Jared.
y'all get out there in your communities and do something good this next week. And we will be back at you next week with another episode of the Steel Kings podcast. And we will talk to you soon, guys. Peace out. Talk to you later.
Cool. Bye.
Before you go, the J Money team wants to thank you for listening to today's Steel Kings podcast. Remember, money is king, and if you need a financing option on your portable wood sheds or steel buildings, we are here to help. Just check us out at jmoneyllc.com for more information, and don't forget to catch the next episode of the Steel Kings podcast, and have a great day.